Good morning, students. Today we will be doing a revision of what we did yesterday. That means transitive and intransitive verb. Now before that, let us start off with what verb is all about. A quick recap. A verb is a word which tells us something about a person or a thing. And without a verb, the sentence does not make any complete sense. Like there is this example. I walk to school. The verb is walk over here. But if we take out this walk and the sentence remains as I to school, then it doesn't make any sense. That means a sentence which does not have any verb does not make any complete sense. So a verb is the soul of the sentence, you can say. It is very important for the sentence to be complete. Without the verb, the sentence will not sound very complete. Okay. Now, what does a verb tell us? A verb tells us about a person, what a person or a thing does. For example, Hari laughs. Laugh is the verb over here. So what is Hari doing? What is the subject doing? He is laughing. So laugh becomes verb. So what a verb tells us what a person or thing does. Secondly, what is done to a person? The verb also tells us what is being done to a person. Suppose the sentence says Hari is scolded. So what is the verb over here? Scolded. This verb, this scolded means this is what is done to Hari, isn't it? So verb also tells us what is done to a person. Third thing what verb does is that it tells what a person or thing is. That means it states the condition. What a person or thing is. Suppose the example is the cat is dead. Over here what is the verb? Dead only? No. Over here the verb is dead. The cat is dead. The verb is dead. Glass is brittle. The verb is brittle. Now over here is brittle or is dead. This is the verb which shows the condition of the thing or a person. Got it? This can be also explained as verb of being. The condition in which you can say the condition in which the person or a thing is. There are basically 8 state of being verb. Like we just did it in an example is. There could be is, am, are, was, were, be, being, been. These are 8 state of being verbs. 8 conditions, 8 verbs which will denote the condition in which the person or a thing is. Right? These could also be called as linking verbs because they are actually linking the subject with the predicate. If the sentence says, I am a student, then I becomes the subject, am becomes the verb, which is the linking verb over here. A student becomes the predicate. Or in sentence, you are my best friend, you becomes the subject, are becomes the verb, and my best friend, the rest of the sentence becomes the predicate. So you can say that the linking words, the verbs over here are the linking verbs because they link the subject with the predicate. Now we have example of have, which is used as has, have, had. You can say student in terms of first person, second person, third person also it differs how it is used, and in terms of possession, in terms of eating and drinking, in terms of doing or taking something. The word have, has, had can be used. Like in terms of possession, if the sentence says they have a big house, it means they are showing possession. Have over here shows possession. They possess the house or they own the house. To eat and drink, I have my breakfast at 8 a.m. Over here, have denotes that I eat my breakfast at 8 a.m. or I drink some maybe water or something at 8 a.m. So eating and drinking is denoted by the verb have or had. Likewise, to do or to take, that means we had a lot of fun. Over here, it means we experienced a lot of fun. We took a lot of fun out of it. Okay. Now we move on to action verbs. What are action verbs? Verbs which actually denote action. Like in terms of playing, cooking, run, swim, laugh, read. All these are action verbs because they are showing some activity or some action which is done over here. In a sentence, it could be most people sleep at night. What is the action which is done over here? Sleep is the action. So this will be called as an action verb which shows some activity. Now we come to object of a verb. If the sentence says, students, he paints posters, he will become the subject, very obvious. What is the work or what is the action which is done over here? Paints. And what does he paint? He paints posters, right? So if we consider it category wise, he becomes the subject because he is the doer of the work. Paints is the verb, which is the action which is being done, and posters will be considered as object. Why? Because this is the receiver of the action. The action was painting. So if the question is asked, what was he doing? What was he doing? What is the outcome of that verb? Painting posters. So posters becomes the object because poster is the receiver of the action. Whatever the action is done, receiver over here means whoever or whatever receives that action, that becomes the object, the direct object, right? Now we find that noun is used as a subject, but a number of times noun is also used as the object. Example, the girls hurled stones or the professor swigged coffee. Girls will be noun over here and this is the subject. Hurled is the verb and stones is the object because the stone is the receiver of the outcome of the verb, right? But stone is also a noun. So sometimes we find that the noun, generally the subject is noun, but sometimes the object is also noun. Now we come to the main part, transitive verb and intransitive verb. Now the same sentence could be used, or we use another sentence. I bake some cookies. I is the subject, bake is the verb, some cookies, this part is a predicate, and what is the object over here? Cookies, because cookies is the receiver of the action, isn't it? The action which took place. What was the end result of that action? Cookies. So I bake some cookies. This verb will be considered as a transitive verb. That means a transitive verbs are those action verbs which have an object to receive that action. Now we take an example of another sentence like I laugh. I becomes your subject, laugh becomes the verb. But what is the receiver of that verb? There is nothing. There is no object mentioned over here. Then in such verbs, in such sentences where the verb does not have an action, where the verb does not have an object to receive it, such verb will be called as intransitive verbs. Understood? We can take example, then it will be easy to understand. Suppose this question, Sarah baked a cake. If we have to find out whether baked, which is a verb, is a transitive or an intransitive verb, we can simply ask a question. Sarah baked a cake. What did Sarah bake? Okay, or what did the subject do? Subject baked. But what was the outcome? What did she bake? She baked a cake. If we get an answer, that means the verb is a transitive verb. Naomi plays. If we ask a question, what does Naomi plays? Then there is no instrument named over here. Suppose the sentence was Naomi plays a guitar. So in this case, plays would have been a transitive verb. But Naomi plays, there is full stop. There is no object after that. So this verb will be considered as intransitive verb because it is not followed by any object. Right? Similarly, I bought a car. Bought becomes a transitive verb. I is your subject. Bought becomes a verb. And you have a direct object, a car. Therefore, this verb becomes a transitive verb. And the baby smiled. The baby is subject. Smiled becomes a verb, but there is no object. Baby smiled, nothing. What did the baby smile? There is nothing. Suppose it was the baby smiled at me or the baby smiled at the ball. then smiled would have been transitive verb. But there is a full stop over here, simply the baby smiled. There is no object after that, so smiled or the verb becomes an intransitive verb. Then you have various examples. Could you bring an umbrella? Bring over here is the verb followed by an object, so this becomes a transitive verb. Similarly, you have examples of intransitive verbs also. She hesitated for a moment. Hesitated is a verb, but it is not followed by any object. There is no object to receive this action. So this verb will be considered as intransitive verb. Now, an example and a tricky thing. Now, sometimes it happens, students, that the intransitive verb makes sense. Sometimes intransitive verb does not make any sense. Okay. Suppose the sentence is fire burns, the wind blows, birds fly. This sentence where the verb is intransitive, if we are considering the first one, fire burns. Fire is the subject, burns is the verb, but there is no object followed, right? But still this verb makes a complete sense. Though it is an intransitive verb because there is no object, this is an intransitive verb, but the sentence makes complete sense. We do understand. It is not that we are thinking that the sentence is incomplete. The wind blows. This sentence is complete even though it does not have a object after the verb. So intransitive verb sometimes makes sense. Sometimes intransitive verb, even though they do not have the object, it manages to express a complete thought without the help of other words, right? But if we take example like the girl seemed. Now seemed, the girl over here becomes the subject. Seemed is the verb, but there is no object. So seemed becomes the intransitive verb, right? But this intransitive verb in the previous sentence, it was making complete sense. The sentence was making complete sense. But the girl seemed, this sentence is not complete. The verb requires an extra word to make a complete sense. Suppose the girl seemed excited. They use another word, excited, to make complete sense. Then you can say that such words, such verbs will be called as verbs of incomplete predication because they do not express a complete thought, right? So verbs like seemed, is, there are many others, am, are, was, were. If these words are only used and there is no object after that, that means if these words are used as intransitive verbs, then they will be called as verbs of incomplete predication because they require an extra word to be added to make complete sense, right? And these extra words could be in the form of adjective, adverb, noun, pronoun, present participle, or anything. So with this we come to an end. I hope you have understood and it is clear. Thank you.